Well met. Welcome to the pregame hangout for our first episode of Villains Wanted. Yeah, this is going to be
Woo.
fun. I am here with some familiar faces. I'm sure if you've watched a lot of our stuff on Dungeon Scrollers, you've seen all these people before. But this is just the casual hangout. We will, just chat about stuff, and we'll do formal introductions when the game starts. So, how's everybody doing?
Oh, I'm fantastic.
Excellent.
I mean, that's good, Allie.
Is it raining there like it's raining here? Because it is wet today in Vancouver.
I have not been outside,
It
but I'm on
rained
the
a little.
East Coast.
It rained
It's
earlier
raining like
today.
crazy where I am, yeah.
Yeah.
It rained exactly when I was trying to do things outdoors today, right after having had my hair colored. So
No.
that tells you a little bit about how my day is going.
No. I spent all of my day inside editing videos, so
Oh, nice.
Just the warm glow of a monitor.
Oh, and it's pouring where I am right now, apparently. I was like,
Hey.
what's that sound? There
Oh,
it is.
I mean, tell Vancouver to stop sending us its rain, please. You keep it up there, Roz.
Now take it.
We don't
I
want
was looking at
that
the weather
export.
for the long weekend, and I was like, "Ooh, maybe for the long weekend it'll." Nope. Oh, rain. Great. Might get a little sunny. We'll see.
I'm actually hoping that if it's gonna rain, it just will rain like now and for the next few days because I'm gonna be at a con all weekend, and so it doesn't matter that much. But Monday and Tuesday of next week, I would like to do the post-con recharge situation while drinking wine on the deck of my boat, and that is less fun in the rain.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I won't do it. I'm saying it's just not as much fun in the rain.
that's valid. That's fair.
I got a would you rather for you all for a moment to just kick us
Ooh,
off for a second.
Heck yeah.
All right. I've been trying to workshop it. I'm still workshopping it, right? But would you rather have the ability to reach out and you must physically touch two individuals? But once you touch them, you can channel your intention for a second and determine if they would be romantically compatible with one another. You would immediately kind of know, like, okay, these two people could be in a good relationship, right? You have no other powers that be other than to get that knowledge, right? Or would you rather that you can pause for a second, take a deep breath, and channel your intention and know where every first date is in your surrounding vicinity in case you enjoy people watching?
Oh, definitely the first date for sure.
Yeah, the second one for sure. I'm not like into the Yenta thing. Plus, I would have to get close enough to touch two other people, which are not so much.
That's valid.
But because all the people that I'm close enough to touch, I kind of am already gonna know who they're gonna be compatible with because I know them well enough to be within striking distance. But yeah, the being able to understand what everybody's business is when you're just like sitting in Starbucks like procrastinating on the draft that's due to your editor in 2 weeks. Like I want that one.
Yeah. Plus, when I'm in
Yeah,
public,
that's fair.
you notice like people all the time, and you wonder if it's a first date, because it's like too awkward to be a second date, or like if they're married, like ooh, help them, you know.
Yeah, like that does not bode well. I think the date thing too. I don't know if TikTok is still a thing, but like I would launch an entire channel where I wouldn't film people. I would film myself talking about what's going on, right? It would be great.
It's
I would
definitely still
also
a thing.
like make sure anytime like the dude, if it's a hetero couple, if the dude got up from the table, I would like immediately go check in on the girl and be like, "You good? You need a ride out of here? Like, how we going?" Because sometimes something is a first date and it turns out to be like bad news bears, and so I would also be like rescuing people from this situation.
Yeah, I feel like the first power is also a little of a monkey's paw. Like, trying to think of a situation like naturally touch people at the same time. And the first thing I thought of was like with my parents, and it's like I don't know, I need to know those sort of things, or you know, even if I'm like hugging my significant other, and then I have like I don't know, or I guess like high fiving my significant other and like a friend at the same time or something. You know, I don't need to know if that's like a hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what if you accidentally were like scratching an itch and then, you know, your significant other brushed up against you and then you're like, you were not compatible. And you're like, oh no.
No, no.
Or like your sweetheart and their secretary, and they really are compatible, and you're
Are
like, oh
extremely
no.
compatible.
Yeah.
This all the time.
Also,
Or like
I'd be
you're at
really
a
hard-
family gathering and like your your brother and your sister-in-law aren't compatible and they
No.
already have kids. That's not a real story. I'm just
That's
Also, if you
never
did
ever
find-
happened.
If you did
No,
find two
no,
people that
they're
were like they're
great.
a perfect match, you'd be like, they're a perfect match. They're not going to believe you that you have this
Ooh,
power or
no.
ability. They're just going to be like,
True.
you're a weirdo. Go home.
But see, that's when you like hang out your Yenta shingle and like really just like lean into Fiddler on the Roofland and just like be the matchmaker you need to see in the world. There are people that would pay you good money.
I love Fiddler on the Roof, but I've seen that one way too many times at this point. No,
Listen,
my high school did a production of it.
Act 1 of Fiddler on the
seen it
Roof
a
is a
lot.
bop. It's just that
Oh, yeah.
Act 2 is a downer.
Like I love the musical. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying.
Much like Into the Woods, if you leave it intermission, you've had a really good time.
I may have mentioned this on this stream before, but there's a running bit that I want to do more with my friends, which is that you go to the theater and you watch a movie and you leave at the darkest hour, right? So the moment the heroes are they've definitely lost. There's no way they can recover. You get up, you leave, story's over there. They lost. Like, heck, they can't have saved themselves, because I had to do that once in a Transformers movie. And I remember leaving and I was like, there was no way they got out of it. There's no way that they could have recovered from that.
Oh man, that's some never-ending story shit right there. Oh,
You know how many movies would have been helped though if they had just done that? If they're just been like, you know what? And the heroes lose. This movie is a bummer. Like there are movies that just had to work way too hard for a happy ending that would have been more satisfying to me if they just let it be a downer. If they just be like, yep, heroes lose. World sucks.
like what movie does someone actually like? You know, what's
So the
off the
one
top of
that-
your head?
The one that like sticks in my craw that I will die mad about is the movie Children of Men. It's this
Oh.
brilliant, hopeless story of the end of humanity. And at the end, like they're on a boat and they're in fog and you like hear laughter. That should have been the end of the movie, where there's this tiny possible glimmer of hope, but maybe they're hallucinating and that's it. No, they got to find the ship and find the people and we're all going to be fine now. And I'm like, why? That was the most like unearned, useless, ruined the whole movie happy ending. I will die mad about it. It was a good movie until that moment.
Nice.
It would make it really hard to do like sequels.
They
You'd
were
be like,
gonna
"There's
do a
no
sequel
way."
film anyway.
But imagine like Star Wars, it's just like, oh no, just they don't make it.
Listen, if the whole movie took place on Alderaan,
Oh my! All right, movie deal. Let's do it. Rogue One, but it's
Look,
all Alderaan.
look.
Rogue One, it's Alderaan.
There's a reason. There's a reason that my favorite Halo game is Halo Reach. Like
That game truly made me feel alone. Like, of games, that game successfully makes you feel super powerful in a moment and then suddenly go, I'm lonely.
yeah. And like no matter how powerful you are, when you stand alone against overwhelming odds, it's probably not gonna end well.
I was not even watching the Halo show, right? There's a TV show of Halo now. And they were like, oh, this episode's called Reach. And I'm like, I know what that means. You're going to be sad.
And the episode is just the Master Chief making like really long jokes that take a long way to get to, and the and Master Chief's like, "I'm reaching for this one. I don't know what I'm telling you about."
Hilarious.
Yeah, I feel like, I can think of good movies or like great movies that have like a lot of the main characters die off. Like Seven Samurai was the one that immediately popped in my head.
Great movie.
Yeah, like part of the journey was like witnessing samurais like heroic deaths and like what they achieved through the valor. But I can't think of one where like everyone dies at the end except for Rogue One.
Rogue One did do that, yeah. But we knew
Yeah,
it going
God.
I
in.
knew it, yeah.
We're like, none of these people are in A New Hope. And that movie starts while this movie's still going on. So we were prepared.
Yeah.
We were prepared.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Rogue
I
One was
kind
so
of
good though.
it was great. Yeah, it's probably
I was in London when they premiered the sizzle reel. And that's one of those moments I would like to go back and relive 1,000 times. It was all of us sitting in the auditorium at Celebration London with Gareth and Gwendolyn Christie on stage, and they're like, "Oh, you want to see some of the movie?" And then like the lights went out and the sizzle reel came up, and
Ooh.
Gwendolyn Christie loved it so much she made him roll it like 3 more times.
That's awesome.
She's like, "We're gonna watch that again."
Nice.
Yeah, feel like they could have easily kept one character alive, and it would have been like everybody expected them all to die, and if one of them actually lived at the end, it would have brought up such possibility and question.
Justice for Bodhi Rook.
Yeah.
Not that I had a favorite.
Yeah, because as we know from history, it's oftentimes like victors who write history, and it's not fact so much a lot of the times as like propaganda. And so maybe they thought everyone died, but actually,
I liked it because like the way they put the handoff on the Tantive, like Leia getting the Death Star plans, like she saw it happen, so like she was there to bear witness. And also Carrie Fisher was like, "That's some of my best work," which I appreciate. Carrie saw Rogue One. It was like at one of the last things she did before getting on the plane that she never got off of. And so hearing Carrie talk about Rogue One, like that movie will always have a special place in my heart too, because she loved it, and I think that colored my experience of it too.
Yeah. It also just makes it just makes that, like, I know this has probably it's been talked about to death, but it makes that opening bit of A New Hope just so much sassier. It's like
Talking about
I
what
literally
plan?
chased you here.
Never heard of it. Couldn't be me. No, sorry. Didn't happen.
The power of retcon, though. We could see him. We could see anybody. And speaking of justice for individuals, can we get justice for Tauntaun? That Tauntaun in episode 4 or 5 that gets killed. Justice for Tauntaun.
There is in the From a Certain Point of View Strikes Back short story collection. Delilah Dawson's story is actually from the point of view of the Tauntaun keeper. Like she actually wrote a story. She's like the Tauntaun midwife, and she's like works with the baby Tauntauns. And she's like, "What do you mean 3 of them didn't come back?" Like, yeah. So that was Delilah's contribution to that book, and it was absolutely darling and just a brilliant idea.
Well,
It's like how.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, go, Eric.
I was going to say Han was extremely irresponsible taking that Tauntaun out into the blizzard. I'm just saying.
He should never. That man should not have been trusted with any piece of rebellion equipment. Like, fly your own ship at your own peril, but like, we're on a budget over here.
Let's say the animal keepers, like that piece in, I guess the 6th one, is so good. Just that little bit of background stuff, right? When the monster dies, and
And the Rancor keeper, yeah.
and he's just like, oh, that little piece in the background there is just so good. Like their story has just this like little element there, and
It's
that's
one of the
why we all
best
love
moments.
Rancor. Yeah.
It's one of the best world building moments ever. Yeah.
I remember being a little kid watching that Rancor come out, scared the hell out of me. That mouth in that darkness, and then it sort of like coming out, and you're like, Luke's dead. Luke can't get away from this. There's no matter what happens. It's
And then you
over.
left the movie theater because you
And
were
I,
like,
yeah, and I left. I was sobbing. I don't know what to say. Okay, wait. Can I share a similar story on a similar vein of leaving the theater though?
Oh,
Wee
yes,
Little
please.
Child, Lord of the Rings 1 comes out, right? And my dad was like, we gotta go see this, right? Let's go. That opening scene is fairly intense, where the army of Mordor is attacking, right? The all of the united armies, and that one spooky goblin goes like that, right? And I remember watching that, and the second Gollum came on the screen, lost it, had to go, and I was like, Dad, we have to walk out of this theater. I have to go watch Jimmy Neutron. Like that's a lot more fun. And my dad, hero that he was just like, I guess we do. And you could tell how devastated he was. He's like, I gotta watch Jimmy Neutron and this amazing movie that I'm walking out of. And then you watch it later on, like a year later, I come back to Lord of the Rings and go, that's not that scary.
Your dad's such a hero.
He was a hero in that moment. Good on him. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember being scarred by so many scenes from popular movies as a child. Because, like back in the day, when you go to the stores, especially the electronic stores, they have like the TV aisle, and to like demonstrate the TVs, they'd all be playing like the same movie, and oftentimes they would pick ones that are like popular. So you would get like Home Alone, Star Wars would be playing often, but then sometimes they would play things like Gremlins. And I don't know if you guys have seen
I
Gremlins.
saw Gremlins in the theater. And
So-
like you didn't, so the Gremlins themselves were like a spoiler when that movie first came out, right? Like they were only advertising the cute little mogwai.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I don't know, young enough that I had the story of the Gremlins on those, like, remember those little book and tape things that you could get when you were little, and like, it's time to turn the page when you heard the chimes ring. I had a Gremlins one that was on a 45 RPM record. Like that is how old I was when Gremlins came out. And I definitely saw that movie in the theater. And there were moments when it was probably not suitable for someone that age. But again, I'm Gen X. I was basically raised by PBS and the other kids in my neighborhood. And so like, what's a PG rated movie? It was before PG-13. So it was a PG rated movie at the time. Someone's
Yep.
actually like, what the heck? Let's go see Gremlins.
So Rumpus
With
in
the
the
cute little
chat.
mogwai.
Yeah, Rumpus in the chat adds Gremlins is where we got the PG-13 rating, for good reason, I think. Because some of those scenes, especially, do with water and laying the eggs, and some of the more like demonic looking gremlins, hatching
oh man,
out of
that
them.
first kitchen scene.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. I recall distinctly when I was little, I really wanted to be an astronaut. And then my parents let me watch the movie Alien.
Oh
No.
no.
To space.
They did not want you to be an astronaut. If they had wanted you to be an astronaut, they'd have given you space camp. Instead, you got Alien.
I did not want to be an astronaut after that.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
And yet to this day, one of my favorite movies.
Pretty sure my parents were like, well, we like The Wizard of Oz. He seemed to like that movie a lot. Let's rent Return to Oz and see what he feels like about that. And I'm like,
Nice.
I had a Return to Oz poster on my bedroom wall. That was exactly, now the Oz books were like my early reading obsession when I was like 4 and 5 years old, way too young to have read those books. So I sort of knew about how creepy Oz could get, and I was into it. So Return to Oz was exactly my flavor of like, this is weird and I like it. And that's probably part of the reason I write urban fantasy.
That just weirdly reminds me, like, just on the subject of like parents getting something for the kid to watch. The kid probably should not be watching. When I was a teenager, they went to the video store and they knew I liked anime. So they brought they grabbed an anime they thought looked interesting that I would like. It was Ninja Scroll.
Oh god.
I was
Oh,
not old
yeah.
enough to be watching Ninja Scroll. I'm just gonna put that out there.
I'm not old enough now to be watching Ninja Scroll. Like, there's stuff in there that nobody needs to see. For real.
I don't think to this day, I don't think they actually realize because I didn't say anything. I watched it and I'm like, this is going back now.
Yeah, I had a similar experience where my friends and we rented it because we were like, oh, cartoons with like ninjas fighting and samurai fighting. And then we're like, why are they putting away their swords? Why aren't they just... Oh god.
Oh boy.
I am
Yeah.
unfamiliar with this property and trying to decide if it's safe to Google.
Just
No, do it. It's not
Ninjas-
safe. It's not
not
safe.
safe.
Okay.
No,
Really good.
I don't.
Okay,
Yeah, I
then I'm
don't
gonna Google it
recommend
anyway.
I don't
Opening up my
recommend it.
work computer, looking it up on my work computer.
It's how when you're younger and you're into anime, you learn that some anime is really for adults and some anime is for kids, and you really got to know the difference before you put it on TV. Your parents are going to walk past.
Mhm.
I got a story. A brief story, not too saucy, right? A dear friend of mine, she went and lived abroad in Japan and bought all of us as her nerdy friends, right, a hentai book. Not that we necessarily wanted those as gifts, right? But it was brought to us and given to us, and we were like, thanks, like, thank you for this book, right? I don't know what to do with this now. Probably get rid of it at some point in time, though it is a gift, So I just like go home and I squirreled it away at the top of a bookshelf. Basically, I was like, set it, forget it. I'm from the Midwest. Love my mother. I come home one day and it's just sitting on the kitchen counter.
Oh no.
With a post-it note on it that says, yikes.
Oh no.
It was the greatest, like, because I wasn't like highly invested in this book or anything along those lines. So it was just a fantastic like moment for me to go, hey mom, are you upstairs? I gotta have a conversation with you.
That would like
Yeah, I
that
can't
would be
unsee that now.
mortifying.
Yeah. I would normally be sassy and say you're welcome, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's
So that is like one of the places where my like nerd cred is just woefully deficient is I don't like anime. So I've literally never watched one. So yeah, y'all are saying all these anime things and I'm like using the Google box to try and figure out what you're talking about. But that one, now I know that My Hero Academia is super pure and Ninja Scroll is super not pure, and things exist now on a spectrum between those two things. So yeah.
oh, there's worse.
Oh yeah.
There's much worse.
Ninja Scroll is definitely not.
Ninja Scroll is like 80% of the way, maybe.
Maybe.
I will say that. Yeah. So, going back to this era of movies that were like, family quote unquote movies that just traumatized me, that they would play over and over on the TV screens and all the stores. So Indiana Jones for the most part.
That's why I was an adult. I somehow missed the Indiana Jones movies. The one that I'm stunned didn't traumatize me was The Dark Crystal. Like that movie should have terrified me as like a 3-year-old person, but it did not. I had it on beta, in fact, on the same videotape as The Wizard of Oz, and I would watch them back to back like every day.
I love The Dark Crystal.
I
should have been. Those Skeksis are terrifying, but I was not afraid as a very tiny person.
I was less creeped out by the Skeksis than just the normal characters, just like the main two characters.
The Gelflings.
Oh,
the Gelflings.
Yeah, Gelflings are creepy.
Puppets.
They're a little creepy, yeah.
But I could see where Indiana Jones would have terrified you if you caught it at like the right age or stage of development. I didn't see it till I was a whole adult. I think my husband and I were engaged and he found out I'd never seen an Indiana Jones movie and he's like, I can't marry you if you've never seen an Indiana Jones movie. So we sat down and watched them.
I mean, one of the scene with the cup, Raiders of the Lost Ark, the end where they pick the Grail.
You can choose wisely.
Yeah, that thing. I could not get away from that scene. That scene was happening, and it was happening to like 9 or 10-year-old me from like every direction in the store, multiple shelves, top to bottom, full of TVs, all playing the same scene, all like, you know, playing the same screaming. It's like, you know, my parents didn't even register what was going on. They were just sort of shopping and, you know, just pushing the cart. And I was just like walking around like, I can't get away from this.
As terrible as it is, because it's not actually representative of the profession. The Indiana Jones movies are what made me want to study archaeology. Like, I will fully cop to the fact that I like, even knowing by the time I actually got to go to classes that, you know, this is not representative, I still wore a Temple of Doom shirt to my first day of class. I couldn't help it. I wanted to be a bit of a shit there, but
I mean, any profession that beats up Nazis is
That's what I was
admirable.
about to say. I'm like, I would also have aspired to any sort of Nazi punching vocation.
Quick question for all of you. Who here believes they would have chosen wisely in the cup scenario? I love it, Eric. I love the confidence. I love the raw confidence of that.
Hey, look, if I had access to the book that my elderly father had written documenting his lifetime research and experience with the Grail, I probably would have figured that out.
Yeah, you probably would
I
have.
would have been beheaded though, so I never would have got to that point
I was
because
gonna
I am
say.
so tall. There's no way I could duck under that blade.
And see, I am tiny, so I would have survived that. But I would have tried to find a way to cheat in that moment and just wound up vaporized. Like,
I would not have understood the penitent man part at the very beginning and just been like,
Yeah.
If I got to the spooky bridge, right, that would have got me.
oh yeah, the walk across where you have to like, you know, like the leap of faith or whatever it was. It was the
Yeah.
I hate heights, so that would have been like, nope.
but I also like I'm gonna tell you I'm real lazy, so I might have just hired someone else to do the whole thing and been like sitting at home waiting for a phone call. Then like, you got the Grail? You got it? Because I want it. You got it?
Nice.
And then when they got vaporized, I'd have been like, am I gonna do it again? Am I gonna hire somebody else? This is a tax write-off. Like, where are we going with this?
sunk cost fallacy. Like,
Yeah, like what are we doing now? So honestly,
Speaking
I would
of
have been
what are we
like
doing
on
now?
my
We need to take
backside
a
the whole
break
time.
now because
yes,
we're gonna
'cause
start in about
commercials.
2 minutes.
Commercials. We love commercials.
So we'll see you all in a few. Bye.
Don't go away.